They say that the first year in business is the hardest year. Unfortunately, they're lying. The truth is, every year is the hardest year. If you're thinking about quitting or thinking about starting, watch this first. I'm Hunter Gerlach, and 4 years ago, I started a video business because I thought it would buy me more time, more freedom, and make me more money. And to be honest, it kind of did, but it's also been extremely painful in more ways than I can count. Here are 4 lessons that I've learned 4 years into owning my own business. Lesson number 1 is that people pay you for value, not for your effort. It doesn't matter if you're spending 100 hours on a project or just 1 hour. People are going to pay you according to the size of the problem that they have. Consumers and businesses aren't going to be paying you for how many hours you're putting in. They're going to be paying you for what they're getting out. So one of the first things that I learned is one of the best ways to make more money is to start focusing on the value that you're providing and getting paid for what you're doing for the customer, not getting paid for how much effort you're putting into the work that you're doing for the customer. Something that I did that literally 3x my income was I started selling on the results that I would get for the clients. So when I first started my video business, I would say, hey, this will probably take me around 8 to 10 hours, so I'll charge you this much. I started saying, hey, I'll come do this for you for free, and if you love it, then we can talk about pricing after. And it didn't matter how much or how little time it took me to get the video done for the client. If they loved it, then I knew that it was valuable for them. And then I was able to start charging 3 times more. And then the client was even happier because they were getting something that was even more valuable as I was putting more effort and more time in because I wanted to be paid for my results. Lesson number 2 is that word of mouth is a weapon, for good or for bad. The truth of word of mouth is that you can't hide. It doesn't matter if your product is amazing or if it sucks. Word is going to get around for better or for worse. And it doesn't matter how much you're spending on ads, people talk faster than your ads can travel. Every customer is either a good review or a bad review, so make sure that you always leave them with something good to say. And to be honest, this isn't something that I've been particularly good at. I thought for the most part that I was, but I recently encountered an experience where I didn't leave a client very satisfied. And unfortunately, I was able to see how fast word got around, and I didn't realize that until it came back to me. But the truth is, I could have put more effort into the projects that I was doing for this client, and I just wasn't giving as much care to the projects as I should have. But on the flip side, I've never spent a single dollar on ads, and my entire business was built from $0 to $100,000 on just word of mouth. So I can speak on both ends to how powerful or how painful word of mouth can actually be. Lesson number 3 is that you come for the freedom, but you stay for the growth. At first, I just wanted to do anything that I could to avoid having a 9-to-5, to have freedom, to have money, to be able to work on things that I wanted to work on. But eventually you realize money isn't going to be the thing that keeps you in the game because you can make enough money working for somebody else. But something that you find when you're building a business that you wouldn't force yourself to have anywhere else is potential. You go from learning one skill to another, and while you're learning those skills, it's always extremely difficult, extremely painful, and you can't wait to get out of that difficult situation. But once you are, and once you realize how much you grew from that, you look forward to the next challenge that you'll have because you know how much it's going to help you grow. For myself personally, I'm seeing that every single day while filming these YouTube videos. Honestly, out of anything that I've done in video, in business, for personal, for financial growth, making these YouTube videos has been one of the greatest growing pains that I've ever experienced. Making a YouTube video every single day is so hard, and it's not just because of how many hours it takes and the amount of dedication or whether or not you're in the mood. There's so much more that goes into it, like having to publish when you don't feel like it's ready. Maybe you're not feeling as good today as you were yesterday. Maybe you feel like your ideas aren't coming through very well. There are a million reasons every day for me to not make a YouTube video, but all I need is one. And that one is just that I committed myself to it. But if it wasn't for that commitment, I definitely would not be doing this every day. And the reason I'm doing this every day is the same reason that I'm staying in business, which is growth and potential. You also realize with growth and potential comes opportunities. And it only takes a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And if not, definitely within the first year, you'll have opportunities that you never thought were possible. You'll meet people that you never thought you were going to meet. And you'll have days where you'll go home and you cannot believe the day that you just had. And you knew that you wouldn't have been able to have had that day if you didn't start a business, or if you didn't put yourself in that situation, or if you didn't go through the hard things that you went through. So even though you come for the freedom and the money, you stay for the growth and the opportunities. And lesson number 4, something else that I'm learning right now, is that there are different types of growing pains. A specific growing pain that I'm experiencing right now for the first time is saying no to projects. Because up until now, my business has been built on saying yes. Shooting as many things as I can, working with as many clients as I can, trying to get as good as I can behind a camera. Saying yes has been my bread and butter. So now saying no to projects that I know I would want to do has been really hard because I know that there's money being left on the table. I know that there's connections that are being left on the table. But at the same time, I know that if I keep saying yes, then I'm saying no to the future that I want for my business and for myself and for my family. Some people experience this earlier, some people experience this later, but for each of us, there are always going to be different types of growing pains. When I started, the growing pain was learning how to use my camera. Then it was how to land clients. Then it was how to make the clients happy. Then it was how to start charging enough to where I can actually pay my bills. Then it was actually how to start building a business. And now one of those things is still learning how to scale a business. I don't know how to scale a business. I know how to make money. I know how to deliver on a product. I know how to make clients happy, but I don't know how to go from 1 to 2. Some people know how to do that before they even start a business, but for me, that's not one of my strengths. So it's a different type of growing pain that I'm experiencing now. And there are probably other things that I've experienced that were easier for me that might be harder for you. But at the same time, just like in lesson number 3, you stay for the growth, and it makes the growing pains worth it. So it doesn't matter if you're in your first year or your 4th year like me, or even in your 10th or 20th year. One thing is sure, and it's that you don't build the business, but the business is always building you. And if you stay long enough, the rewards and the opportunities are way bigger than anything than you could have ever dreamt up for yourself. Not just financially, but with who you become, the people you get to meet, and everything else that you didn't think you were going to get. That's what makes business worth it, and that's what keeps you in the game. For those of you who might be thinking about quitting business because it's too hard, my advice is to just try to get through the rough patch that you're in right now, get to the other side of it, wait till things are good. And if you still want to quit when things are good, then I think that's a pretty good indicator that it's time to wrap things up. But most likely you just want to give up because it's hard. And I promise that if you can push through those hard things, you're going to be so grateful that you did, because it's always at the end of those things that you realize it's those hard times that make things worth it, because you grow so much from them. And if you're thinking about starting a business, don't let this video scare you. It is hard, but just like when you're a kid, everyone tells you that adulting, that paying bills, everything is so much harder than being in school. But at the same time, being a kid has its own difficulties, and being outside of a business and not owning a business also has its own difficulties. Being an employee for somebody else has its own difficulties. So if things are going to be hard either way, just ask yourself if you would rather grow being a business owner or if you would rather grow working for someone else. And the answer doesn't matter one way or another. If you want to work for somebody else, that's totally okay. And at some point I might, but what I'm doing right now is exactly where I want to be. And if it's where you think you might want to be, I encourage you to go ahead, take the leap, and just chase those dreams that you know you have. I hope this was helpful. If it was, give it a like. And if you want to keep seeing videos like this, subscribe. We're at 412 subscribers and I'm trying to get to my first 1,000. So if you can help with that, I would love that. If not, and if you catch me in another video in the future, maybe consider subscribing then. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.